All right. Well, what a gorgeous day. Thank you for being here. I know it's hard to do stuff like this when we've had such a cold winter and then all of a sudden we have this like amazingly warm, but like wonderful weather. So thank you for being here. Um, what we'll do today is basically this month, sometimes we'll have more like what do I want to say? Kind of like assigned topics that we go over in mid-month, but this one is really just a couple of things. It's how the heck are you? How are you doing? If there's any overwhelm that I can help alleviate or that it just feels good to express, this can be a good time for that. Let so we'll do a check-in. I'll have to keep an eye on the time. So I'm thinking depending on, I'm kind of letting everyone should come in and then I'll get a count and I'll see how long we have. But we'll do that check-in, and then with your check-in, most of you have your names up, but so I think we're fine on that. I know your names, but I don't know if you know each other's after the first weekend because there's so much information. So it might not hurt if you just um say your name. Like for instance, Reba and Peggy's, since you don't have the name you go by up, maybe if you want to reiterate that when we get to you too, it doesn't hurt, even though I just said it. So say your name. I'm melting. And if you want to share pronouns again, and then we'll just do like kind of an overview. How are you doing? Is 300 hour, how are you feeling? How are you doing with homework? Do you have questions on homework? And also I'd like on this first meeting to talk about the sadhana. I feel like questions come up once you actually get into doing it, or it might be like, that hasn't really happened yet. And that's okay too. Sometimes if you haven't gotten to do something yet, it's actually reassuring for other people to hear just that we all get to be human here. Um, and just a reminder, we're not going for perfection. That doesn't even exist. So that would be a hard thing to aim for. Any questions before we hop in? Okay. If so, just wave me down at any time. Also, I have all of you on the screen right now. Let me just take a quick count. 3, 7, 13. Let's do, and I'm going to do a timer. I hope you don't mind, but I get so into what you're saying that I forget to keep track of time, and that's not fair to any of you. So let me get my timer set up. We'll do 2.5 minutes. If you need more, and if it turns into a question with discussions, that it might take more, but that, uh, 2.5, 2 minutes. Who would like to start us out today? Who would be willing to? Maybe like isn't the right word. Who's willing to? Okay. No, I saw your hand right before Eden. So if you don't mind, will you start us out, please?
Sure. Um, so I have been doing like something each day. I've been making a point to do at least one thing each day for the sadhana. Excuse me. Not quite into the routine of like what time yet. Um, but it's definitely on my mind. Um, I've been having a hard time doing the physical stuff because I've got some health stuff going on. So, like asanas and stuff have been a little bit difficult. I've ended up having to do them in like little short spurts, but just getting my body moving at all is good for me, I think. And I'm working on the reading right now, and I did the quiz from weekend one, and I have to go back over that.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions on the homework or the quiz?
I don't think so yet. If I do, I will reach out.
Yeah, please do. Please
Um,
do.
And then
When
I did post a question in the parking lot, but it's a big one, so I figured we might wait until
did
next
you add
weekend.
anyone's name onto it? Because we don't always see them come through if there's no
Mm, yeah,
like
no, I didn't.
Laura.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's so funny. We don't always get those notifications. So I should have done this in advance. Pardon me, because I just am not used to, I haven't done a mid-month meeting in quite a long time. Let me grab something to write down because I have a feeling I'll leave this and I'll need to follow up on some stuff. So if you'll all just give me just a second. I have something somewhere around here. Okay. All right, so you have something in the parking lot. I will go back and check that. I could take the note on my phone, but if sometimes just writing it down, then I remember to actually see it. Do you ever take notes in your phone and then never look at them again? And at that, I love that the sadhana's in your mind and you're doing a little bit every day. And I'll also just add that with the asana stuff, and I think maybe not everyone in here, but I think a lot of people have been through things or have had health issues or things like that where it's just not feasible to do that. So what you're doing is great. And the main idea is just like you're doing just enough to kind of steady your mind, like we know the breath, if you can link breath and movement somehow, that's going to help you steady your mind a little and just to get your body comfortable for sitting. I mean, I know Austin talked to you about all that stuff, but I just want to, and I think I hope you feel this way because it sounds like you feel empowered to do it the way you need to, but just to reiterate, yes, do what you need to do. All right. Thank you for starting us out. And I think what I'll do is just kind of loop around over here. Jacob, are you up for doing your check-in? Good to see you.
Hey, how's good morning. My name is Jacob. And so I'm still working on what I need to be doing for the sadhana. I would like to do at least a few minutes in the morning every day, but just kind of want to work on some of the things that I find challenging, like the Kriya, and at least try to do pranayama and meditate and some meditation in the morning. But I know I did the full sauna last Sunday and I felt great afterwards and I highly recommended. So I just did the Sunday video and that was a good time. I also need to work on the mantra too.
Great. And do you have any questions on the homework or the sadhana or anything else?
Not right now. I'm sure they'll come up.
Okay. Y'all are being so quick. I'm like, this timer is pointless. But yeah, and I want to ask you, you mentioned the Kriya Naoli Kriya, I think, right?
Mhm.
I've talked to at least two others of you. I think Peggy and who was the other person I talked to? Oh, I think it was someone from 200 Hour who won't be as so they won't be here today because they're in 200 Hour. But yeah, I want to reiterate with Naoli Kriya. In fact, raise your hand if you're having any difficulty with it or
Yeah,
frustration with it.
sure.
So see, for some people, it's like everything. There's some things that just click and you kind of go, oh, right? And then there's some things that it's just going to take a while. Jacob, will you kind of explain what are you experiencing with it? Because I think this can be kind of a way we can discuss it a little more if you'll start us out.
Um, so managed to get like a good vacuum. I I um I kind of have so one of the issues is trying to work in the Mulabanda, and then like actually just finding the read in general.
Oh yeah. That
Um,
read can be elusive. And then one day it happens. And then the next day you're like, where'd it go? I just had it. Um, okay, thank you so much for sharing that because that'll help. Who is it was actually Lacey I spoke to. Who's having issues with that vacuum? Little, if you are, try it on all fours. Also try it in a forward fold. Don't make yourself pass out, but sometimes just even getting gravity to work with you, you can get it to kind of suck up and back under the ribs. And I'm reminded Lacey had someone tell her to try it on their back, and that seemed to help her with it. So those are three hints. Just try it in different positions. That can sometimes help. Um, yeah, integrating all of it too at the Mula Bandha, the whole thing can be, it's like learning to drive a car, right? Like you're like, oh, I got the suction, and then you're like, oh, my Mula Bandha, oh my, and then you get Mula Bandha and you're like, what happened? The whole thing. So that's just gonna take, that can just take a while to all come together. But the read, uh, I have some hints for that. Who's having issues with the read right now? Who's got like the suction, but the read? Okay. Okay. The read, will someone tell me, I'm gonna actually, while I do this, and I'm sorry, I should have closed these blinds behind me. Will someone tell me, what did Austin tell you to do with the read? And then that way I won't be reiterating and you'll get to, or I won't be repeating what he said. I can give you new information if I have it, but also you get to be reminded. So can someone say what he said?
he suggested to do it from a sit up so that you can kind of see your belly protrude a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Amber. I apologize for my multitasking, but yeah, doing it from a sit up, you get the right, because really it's just those muscles right along the center that pull up and the sides. The key is to keep the sides relaxed. Um, and it's like doing an almost like an improper sit up in a way. Like, have you ever been told keep everything sucked in when you do the sit up and don't let your belly come out at all? Like that's kind of the instruction that's given a lot with it. And you kind of go halfway with that. You really crunch in and you let that the abdominis rectus just fully kind of engage, but also extend. And this is one too, where sometimes my hint on this that may or may not be useful to you, but try it and see. Sometimes this, like with the vacuum, can be found better if you try it in a forward fold or on all fours. So try it in different positions also. And also it's just, it is, I have to say, it's just a thing, keep trying it. And it's like patience. And one day your body kind of gets it and you're like, oh, because you still have this vacuum feeling on the sides, but the reed is engaged. So try different positions. The other thing I would say that's really key to this, that's also key to the vacuum, is getting the armpits hollowed out. Did you talk about armpits in this kind of standing position? Oh, let's talk armpits then quickly. So when you're in that standing position, right, you're kind of like this, right? Does this look kind of about right? And here I'm like this, but if I can kind of, oh, okay, thanks, Anna. If you kind of almost want to, you can feel like there's really no good way to demo this, but it's something you can play with and try to feel. And you might even want to try it right now. But if you kind of arch your upper back, you're going to feel your armpit go from kind of relaxed to going deeper in. And if you just kind of go into that feeling, that can help with the whole thing, oddly enough. Okay. So those are my tricks for now. If those don't work, we can talk more, but try different positions and try going, really feeling that those armpits hollowing out if you're doing it from the standing. Okay, thanks, Jacob. That's what I wanted. These things take us into whole things that can support everyone. So I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Eden, hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How is everybody else? Good? Good. The sunshine definitely helps for sure. I sat outside all morning and I'm feeling so lovely. My cat's trying to attack birds from the window, so if you hear a skittering, scattering, that is what's happening. She cannot get to them. Um, as far as everything going, I feel pretty on top of things, which is kind of like freaking me out a little bit because I'm usually not on top of everything. So I'm like, am I forgetting something? But I don't think so. So I'm trying to just live in that. Um, as far as like the sadhana goes, I've been trying to do a little bit every day, even if I just do like the check in, a little bit of breath and meditation. Um, some days I hit all of it and I get like a class in and it's really nice. And then sometimes I don't. I'm trying to just kind of let that be what it is right now and not put too much pressure on it. It will all come as it does. Again, I'm kind of like Jacob with the Nauli. Like sometimes I really get it and I'm like, oh heck yeah, we're going somewhere, we're building. And then other times I'm like, okay, come on, come on, and I can't get it. So it really just like depends on the day or depends, I guess, on the mindset as well. And then I was telling Ari the other day, we were in a class together, and I was like, yeah, I'm really like struggling with the meditation, which is weird because I'm such a meditation person. But I find myself getting so stuck in the like, where's my tongue go? Okay, no, eyes up. Okay, now up, no, breathe up. Now we're going up, chest, belly, like the whole thing. And so then I'm like, okay, so I'm not even like, I'm just like running through checklists while I'm of the meditation while I'm trying to meditate. And that's kind of, I'm like finding resistance with that because I'm like, I like in my head, I'll be like, okay, that's not what we're doing. Just relax, like just take a breath, like recenter. And then I'm like, okay, so now we're going to start visualizing the red line. I'm like, but don't tell yourself red line, you know? So then I've just been getting like frustrated with that. So I'm trying to like take some of the mudra out of it, to just so that I can build onto it as it gets a little bit easier. But for now, that's what I'm struggling the most with, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the check-in. And now we get to talk about meditation. So that's like perfect. And way to go with like feeling like you're on top of things. And that's like that's a nice feeling when we can be in that space, right? So it's funny how our minds are like, but are you really? Are you like, can you trust this? Can you trust yourself? So it gets to be a practice in that too, right? All right. Meditation, like we talked about, it is very much like spinning many plates with yoga meditation, right? Like you're holding all these plates on sticks and you're spinning them, and you will get to the point where they're spinning and they're doing it. But I know in the meantime, it can be feel like a lot and be frustrating. So one thing that can help is to you use the word frustration, and I think a lot of people might feel that with it to start. And remember, in yoga, frustration, it comes from thwarted desire, raga. Raga is desire, and it's related to rajas, that moving. Rajas is that guna that makes us feel frustrated when it doesn't get what it wants. So the thing is to sit back for one and be like, well, what is it I'm trying to get, even subconsciously? And usually it's like, I want to get there. I want to have it all done. I want to get it. So one thing to do is to take it a step back and say, okay, today I'm not worrying about anything. I am going to focus on the red line only. And if my mind starts saying, hey, look at the red line, I'm just going to notice my mind doing that and I'm going to dismiss it. And it's going to do that probably 10,000 times in my meditation today. And that's okay. I'm just going to focus on the red line. And then and then maybe add, so doing less, but with more focus and less, goals are desires, right? So kind of if you can find ways to remove goal orientation and desire from the process, which can happen when we're like, oh my gosh, I gotta get all these things. I gotta get the mula bandha. I gotta get the breath right. I gotta da 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 da. And it becomes like, when we get into that space, we can't, we start getting frustrated rather than experiencing enthusiasm for it. So I would say feel free to play with it in such a way that you can pair it back to something that is simple and that you can get engaged with and enthusiastic about. And the other thing I want to say about enthusiasm versus frustration is look at when and how you're doing it, and also when you're doing it. So in general, in yoga, what so much of yoga is teaching us is to do nothing from a place where we're inwardly bracing. So if you find yourself sitting down and already being worried about time, being overwhelmed by how it's going to go, being goal oriented with it has to go this way or that way, or I got to get all these things, that's already a bracing attitude. And instead, I would suggest, before you start anything, require of yourself that you start of a place of being soft and gentle inward. And if you find any of that inward bracing, any of those little fists in our minds or our spirits or our hearts, right? When you find those, because that's resistance, right? That's I just got to get through it and I just got to do it because it's my homework or whatever. And I'm not saying this is you, Eden, but I think it comes up for me in meditation. I have to watch myself all the time to where I'm like, it becomes a task for my checklist rather than coming from a place of joy. And if I can sit down and just be like, okay, if I sit this whole time just trying to get rid of that bracing feeling, then that's what I do. And the requirement for that to even happen is to give myself enough time. So a lot of times that pressure of time creates the bracing sensation within us, which then leads to frustration. So even if you're like, okay, I'm doing 10 minutes of meditation today, I don't care if I even start meditating, I'm going to sit and get rid of this bracing sensation first. Then that might be it too. So, hopefully some of that you'll find useful.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure, my pleasure.
Good advice.
Let me know how it goes. It always helps me if anything I say does or does not support you. It helps me for the next group too. So, all right, Amber, hi. How's it going?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I had a very high aspiration of doing some components of the sadhana early in the morning, and it hasn't quite come to that. There's been a bug that's gone through my house, so we've been like swapping beds and just missing school. But I have taken a lot of joy in getting a practice in a studio, in numerous different studios. So I'm trying to find a place to teach. And so I've been getting free classes in all these different spots. So I've been taking up a little space after the asana practice and doing a little alternate nostril breathing and then some meditation. And yeah, I'm still got the training wheels with the meditation and just kind of doing only the red line. And then I've been memorizing the Sanskrit for the chakras. So it's been enjoyable. I'm kind of in the back of my head kicking myself because I've wanted to wake up and have like a sunrise practice because I felt so like over the moon when we did the sadhana with the class. And I just feel like I nailed it with the whole community and everybody doing it. And it was just so blissful. So I want to attain that. So holding a little bit of a goal. But my one off the cuff question is I have 2 copies of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm wondering if you can tell by the cover if one is more right than the other. They both have the Eknath, or I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but
By the cover, they don't look like the one I have. I have mine right around the corner. Let me grab it.
They're a little different. Both have the
Yeah,
translated.
you should have a link. Oh, Eden's got it there too. Was there a link in your welcome email for the one? Or
I think it just said the one with Eknath Eastwarren.
well, you have to be careful because there are different ones, and there's even a 3-volume one. This is the one introduced and translated by him, but the actual I think Barbara, someone does the Ladybug. Shh. Oh goodness, I'm not finding her name, but it's let me find who printed it. I mean, it's I can't tell you by looking at yours, but it's it's by his actual Blue Mountain Center of Meditation is the and Nilgiri Press. Work with what you have and bring them in, and we can look at them and see how, because the key thing is I want you to have these chapter introductions are really good. Does yours have chapter introductions?
I believe so. It's got one really big introduction. Sorry if my internet's wonky.
Oh no, there's yeah, this one has about a 50 or 60-ish page introduction, and then each chapter of the Gita has an introduction by this person whose initials are DM, and I think Diana Morrison. Chapter introductions by Diana Morrison. So the introduction is Eknath Eastwarren, and then Diana Morrison.
Got it. Good.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Good. Okay, good. Well, good job with the asana, and we're just taking it little by little. Even the morning stuff, you know, do 3 minutes in the morning, and that might get you going on it. All right. Leslie, hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, let me go to my notes. I'm really, really good at being gracious with myself when I don't do all the things. So I wanted to start with that. I want to spend a little bit, I need to dedicate some time on the Sankalpa. I haven't spent much time on that portion. The chant, I haven't done at all. I saw we uploaded the actual chant and we can go back to the videos. So I need to do that so that I actually know what I'm chanting. I am just like over here speaking gibberish to myself if I do that. The asana, I only did one time this week. I usually am like a 3-time-a-weeker. So I just had some things come up and it was great. I loved it. Interesting. Oh, I couldn't do the pranayama. I had a stuffy nose like the entire time, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get it to clear even going back and forth. I'm not sure if I was just getting over a cold or what. The meditation has been really interesting for me. I find myself doing it in the middle of the day at work, and it's been shifting and changing, which that's very normal for me with meditation. But like instead of being red, it will turn to like liquid gold, or it will turn to mercury, and then it will target a certain chakra and it will expand through that one. Usually it's my third eye that it's expanding through, and it's like it feels like it's clearing out things and doing its stuff. And so I'm really enjoying that part.
Awesome. How fun. Well, thank you for sharing. What a change of consciousness for the workday. You go to lunch and you come back and you're like, um, that's very cool. And it's not, I'll say this, it's not, let me say this about the red line, because the red line can be a source of frustration for people too. Right now, and this isn't for you, Leslie, because you're clearly seeing it. It's not uncommon for it to change color if you actually start seeing it on its own. At first, you're almost imprinting it into you. You're not actually seeing it. And if you're like, but I never actually see it, it's kind of those things. Imagine you are seeing it. And what I mean by that is imagine what the studio looks like right now. I mean, you don't have to think too hard about it, right? You can just kind of be like, oh, I know what it is. It's the same thing. It's like if you close your eyes right now, you can imagine the room you're in. It's the same thing. It's use that sense of that bikalpa, that vritti of imagination. And even when you don't see it, know that you know what it looks like, just like you know what the studio looks like, even if right now you're not imagining it, you know what the studio looks like, right? So you kind of have to play a little bit of these mind games a little with yourself, sometimes with the red line. The other thing I want to add about pranayama, or I guess it's Nadi Shuddhi, I'm guessing is the one that was tough. And it is, if you have a cold or congestion, what you can do instead is visualize it going in the left and out the right, and in the right and out the left. And in fact, visualization can be a really, in some ways, it's more powerful than doing things physically because that's a more subtle level. It's just we are so used to having to feel things physically that we don't believe it. But give that a try next time if it happens. But I'm glad you didn't force it because that just leads to frustration. I mean, that's such an uncomfortable thing. All right, thank you. All right. Let's see. Let me actually hop over here. Anna went first, right? Tisa, will you go, please?
Hi. I went to Laura's class this past week and I got to see Leslie and Ari, which was awesome. It was so nice to actually see people. Um, so um, this is like a bit of too far of a background, but my childhood was very rigid. So I grew into an adult that always tried to make compromises to structure. I grew into an adult that was like, oh, this is my set structure. I'm going to find a way to not do it. And in the last 2 years, I have been really trying to work on that. So I have been trying every day to do the sadhana. And sometimes I am met with that bracing feeling and I just end up sitting for a while, sitting in that bracing feeling and like asking it to step aside and trying to get curious. So I've been trying to do all parts of it, which has been really helpful for me, but like not forcing myself, just trying to be curious and trying to just let myself be, and whatever happens, happens, and however it goes is however it goes. And some mornings I get up early and do it, and other days it's kind of just whenever I have time in the day. And so it's been really nice, actually. I am now turning into a person that likes a little bit of structure, so I am enjoying it. And I also am struggling with the meditation. The meditation that I've always done for the majority of my life has been just like mindful, notice the thought, let it pass. Notice the thought, let it pass. Redirect back to the breath. And there's so much going on in yoga meditation that I'm like, my tongue hurts. My eyes are no longer at my third eye. Like, oh no, my hands are no longer holding mudra. And like, there's just so many elements that I find myself like getting pulled right back to the external. And so it's for sure like a lot of hard work. And the parts of me sometimes are like, all right, we don't want to do this anymore. Like, let's just quit for the day. And so sometimes I do. Sometimes if I sit there for like 5, 10 minutes and I'm just getting that frustration feeling, I'm like, all right, let's pull out, let's regroup. So meditation has been really, really hard, the hardest thing, and I expected it to be the easiest thing. So that's been interesting. And the Bhagavad Gita, we read this version in my 200 hour. They're very different. I've started reading the other one. This one is pretty much just the conversation the whole time, and there's not as much text to it. So I'm like interested in seeing the differences between the translations, and yeah, that's how things are going.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it's fun to like right now I'm reading two side by side and I like to do that. So I feel like we can get it just makes our minds more curious, which helps with learning. So
Yes.
um the meditation too, and so you might also what I want to add to what I was saying to Eden is when it is getting frustrating too, there are times where you can just sit down and you might be like having the capacity that day to try all the things, but it's also like maybe you have a day where you do the red line, then the next day you do the red line and the mula bandha, or and the proper breath order, and you can just layer it in more slowly. It is going to be harder than mindful meditation, because we're developing one pointedness, we're developing focus, whereas that um the open space kind of meditation stuff, it's actually very different. And there's not a direction of the vrittis, of the movement of the mind. Instead, it's just let it come in and let it go. So it's going to be, sometimes it's even harder for people with that kind of practice because it's so different, that we cling also to our likes and our dislikes, and your mind is like, but I like this and I'm used to this. And it doesn't mean that that's what you're doing otherwise is wrong. It just means the mind gets used to one thing and it likes it. So that's just a thing to acknowledge and notice too, is how those yums and yucks show up even in meditation, right? And the yucks can really come in to any meditation big time.
Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
I heard you were at the studio. That's so fun, and I'm glad. That's awesome for the people who got to meet you.
It was really nice.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Peg. Well,
Hi,
I'm sorry.
everybody. I
Oh,
got it.
I thought
No, no,
I think my audio did something weird too, but anyhow.
I was okay. So I'm up. Hi, everybody. Wow. Yeah. So I feel like I had high expectations of myself too, because I had done a sadhana like this when I was doing my Kundalini training, and I was so good at it. I got up every morning at literally at 3:30. I mean, I was younger. And I don't know, I just got up and I did this 2-hour thing, and I was like, I can do this again. And so I haven't done it consistently. And I think it's just the routine with me and my husband. I mean, we're both up early. And so I think because he's up with me, I don't know, I feel like I end up talking to him and getting distracted. And then we go out to a meeting in the morning at 6. So we leave here at 6:15. And then if I don't get it done in the morning, I feel like during the day I add stuff in, like I'll do my breathing and stuff, but it's not the same. I love when I do the whole thing. So my goal is to do that. I know we're not supposed to have goals. I don't know. That's my goal. But we can have goals, just don't hold tight.
Just,
I
yeah,
can't
don't let them become a source of frustration.
frustration. Yeah, not really. I'm not beating myself up. It's just that's where I want to get to. And I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So
Oh, but
I
those are your vrittis, and that's your chitta, and so maybe it's time to
get rid of it.
to do 5 minutes in the morning.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Just do something, right? So that's with the morning stuff. Yeah, the Nali Kriya, I can do the holding, that finding the reed and doing all that. I don't understand how to do that with my body, but I'm not real frustrated. I figure that's just not something you can do right away. I can't imagine most people get that immediately. So I don't even know if I'm doing it right. You know what I mean? To get there, I'm not sure, but I can do the holding and the kind of relaxing and holding, that kind of thing. But finding that middle part, I don't know. So I look forward to being able to practice that with the group again, and maybe get it that way. As far as the homework goes, I wanted to ask, so when it says here for teaching, right? So we're going to be teaching in March. So we have to pick a theme to theme before we teach, correct? And then it says classical meditation pose. What does that mean?
Oh, sorry, that's our timer. Austin talked to you about classical meditation poses, I believe.
Okay. Well, I'm not okay. So
Anyone know, can anyone support with
I
this?
can I can help you.
okay. We'll talk about it later.
If not, I can ask Austin specifically. He changes things on me sometimes, so that's why I like you to help me out with his stuff sometimes. Does anyone know what he said about that? Or who said I can help you? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, it's
they
okay.
Austin, remember we did that, Peg? It was like he was like, you can sit with your legs crossed, you can sit on your knees. That's when we partnered up, you and I, remember?
Yeah, so that's all? Okay,
Yes,
that's what,
yeah, just those different seated postures. Yeah.
oh, okay. Well, I just wasn't, yeah, that's fine.
Like combining it together. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then, yeah, I've started working on the restorative yoga thing. I haven't done the reading. I wanted to ask, it says one of three for the, Bhagavad, I don't even know how to say it.
And
I always say it.
one of three meetings that we'll have. It means we are going to have 3 meetings and this is the first of 3.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and okay, Yoga Sutra says 2 of 6. I get it. Okay, that's all. I didn't really know what that meant. So yeah,
Okay.
the breath work I like a lot. The Kapalabhati, I learned to do that really fast, right? In Kundalini, it was just bang, 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 right? And
It's
now,
technically not a true Kapalabhati, but yes,
right.
yeah, it's
So
really.
now I have to relearn, right?
Mhm.
There was a lot of stuff I learned that I have to relearn.
And it's not wrong, it's just different, right? Like it's just
Mhm.
a different system. So yeah, I had to relearn it too. My first kind of yoga was Kundalini, so I understand that right there. Well,
So the slow inhale, right? Just is a little bit different for me. And then the cooling breath with my tongue rolled. I don't know why, but my mouth gets super dry.
oh, well, because you're pulling air over your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is why it's in the winter, only do it a time or two. Because
Okay.
especially we have dry winters and it is a drying breath. So while
Mm-hmm.
we want to cool, we don't want to add too much of that vata in Ayurveda, the vata element, the drying
Uh-huh.
element. Now, as we get more into warmer days and summer and things like that, you will add more.
Okay. I'll start out and then I switch just to the one with my tongue pressing against my teeth because that doesn't seem to be as drying. But
I got
yeah,
it. Are you good? Can I
go. Yeah.
I got to keep moving. Sorry. And this is how these go. I tend to spend more time on the first ones because they're hopefully answering questions for some of the later ones, but I still want everyone to get to check in. So thank you so much for that. And Ari, are you good to go?
I'm unmuted now. Okay, things have been going pretty well with my sadhana. Right after 300-hour weekend, we had to go to Houston unexpectedly to take care of family. So I was there and for the week. So it was nice. There's a studio there that's donation based, kind of like Cambio, and they have a 7:30 class, so it makes it like really easy for me. I would like go in, do my Sankalpa, do the asana, do the breath work, and then do a meditation after getting home. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. I was doing the Kriya like the first few days, but it is like kind of difficult and hard. I was talking to Sebastian about it yesterday and he made the suggestion like do it from tabletop too. So I was like, oh, I'll try that out and see how that works. Me and Eden were talking about the meditation, and that's been going really well for me because I've been trained on that meditation before. So I already kind of use that meditation already. So I was like, oh, this is a lot easier for me. But the Kriya is just a little bit harder. So that's my difficulty. Um, yeah, I did it every day except for yesterday, and I really felt it. Like I felt the difference of like not doing it, just like in my like emotions, just overall like how I felt, like more stressed in general. So I would like to make it a good routine. It's hard because me and Sebastian were talking the 7:30 is like really a good time for me to like get into it consistently. But here in the Springs, there's no studio that offers a 7:30 class. I've pretty much looked at pretty much all of them. There's hot yoga, but I don't want to do hot yoga in the morning. So it's like that fine line of do I just do stuff at home, but then it pulls away from like the community piece of actually like getting to take a class with like an instructor who might provide more value like to my practice. So it's like that fine line of, do I get all the Sankalpa done in the morning? I mean, all the sadhana done in the morning, or do I go to a class where I might connect more with people and have like a really good, well-rounded class? So it's kind of, that's like my struggle.
And that's a common one.
Yeah.
So many times to have 7 and 7:30s, and it's like the 2 or 3 people who love them are so dedicated, but we just can't sustain it.
I know.
I
It's
don't know what
hard.
it
It's
is.
hard.
Yeah.
I know. And in Houston, it's different because that's a major city. So I feel like they could have a 7:30 and they still have 10 people, but that's a class that normally has that studio at the nighttime one, they have 68 people in the room.
Black Swan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to have 10 people there and at 7:30 is kind of like, yeah, that's
Right.
hardly anyone. You know what I mean?
Oh, goodness. Well, good job with it all. Good job with doing it even out of town. And thank you so much. Thanks for your check-in. You might have to give people insight since you've done the meditation before as we continue on, because as a learner on the path who's had a little more time with it, I think you could have some good stuff. So keep that in mind, please.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, Sierra. How are you?
I'm good. I am sorry, I've got my kiddo running around, so if you see a blur of energy run by, that's a 7-year-old. That's me. I've been like this week has been rough to say the least. So I can definitely feel the difference from the days that I do the sadhana to the days that I don't. I've been listening to the Bhagavad Gita on audio tape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pick it up and I read it when I get a chance. But like I've been studying for midterms this whole week. So it's been tough balancing the two. But what else was there? I don't really have any questions about the homework. That's it. Like things are going well. I practice parts of the sadhana, at least one part of the sadhana every day. So yeah.
Okay. What I'd like that some of you have said, and I think Ari said this too, is noticing a difference on the days you're not doing it. That alone is going to help build those helpful samskaras, right? We want to build helpful patterns. So when we notice what happens when we go with a different pattern and we don't like that outcome as much, even that bit of reflection is really powerful and important. So that's awesome. Good luck with your midterms. Are they done?
So they're all but one. I have a chemistry midterm left.
Okay. Well, good
That's
luck
on
with
Monday. So
Thank you, Sierra. All right, Reba, hi. Sorry for all the bell ringing.
Sorry, it takes me a second to unmute my phone for some reason. Yeah, I've been doing good. There's been a lot going on in my personal life. My dog's sick, and we're kind of as a family coming together to help care for my dog. And yeah, it just kind of put my routine in a lot of ways out of whack. So when teacher training was going on, I just felt it was just a lot of overwhelm of like, how can I deal with all this stuff and start incorporating all these new things. And I don't know, I was just reminded of like the things that are important to do even more so when you're having a hard time. And for me, trying to add aspects of the sadhana has actually been really healing in that sense of just like taking personal time to take care of myself. And for one thing, I think the practice has been difficult in terms of just like how much stuff I feel like is in it. But like when I've been able to break it down, it's starting to feel like just more attainable. Like this the deep rest especially has been something that I've been trying to like really focus on because it's felt really necessary for me. um yeah, and I kind of knew what was going to be difficult before I even started because I've always known myself. I think I'm very rajasic, like just naturally. I especially in these times I'm like really stressed out. So um I knew it'd be difficult in terms of meditation to get myself even to the mat to sit down. Like once I'm there, I think it's been a really positive experience. But getting myself to sit down and like take moments where I'm not doing anything, that's hard in and of itself for me. So, yeah, I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to learn all this stuff. And I'm very excited, especially things have like calmed down a little bit and I can start feeling like that enthusiasm again. But yeah, like I know meditation has just always been difficult for me. And so this one even more so because there is so many components. And yeah, I'm trying to break it down enough that I'm like, okay, getting to the mat is the most important part, you know?
Yeah, and that's it right there is what is it going to take for you to get your butt on the mat? And it's going to be different than it will be for anyone else. We all have to find what is the thing because that's always for now, once you're in it, it can be a struggle. I'm not saying it can't be, but that's always the hardest part. As always. So is it going to be tricking yourself and saying, I'm going to do 30 seconds and then seeing if you can do more? Or is it going to be just, I'm going to do this one thing and that's it or whatever. So I'm really proud of you for doing it even through this hard time. And I'm sorry about your doggy. My heart goes out to you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, I love what you said about the deep rest too. You'll all get more on how important that is with your restorative stuff coming up. All right. Alexis, hi.
Good morning. I am
Oh, are you
sick.
sick?
Yes. Um, and I was hoping it would go away, but I've been sick since Wednesday, and it's just been like a constant, not great feeling. But before I got sick, I've been doing pretty good. I have a pretty busy schedule. So my goal was to do the full sadhana every Sunday, which there's only been one Sunday so far. And I did that and my Sunday was amazing. And then I've been practicing little pieces throughout the week um, on like I've been mostly working with the mantra and Nauli Kriya to see if I can work with getting the read, which I haven't yet. I've been I've also, like everybody else, been struggling with the meditation, or at least like it just the visualization, and keeping all the components together. But what I've been doing, because I think the hardest part has been the red line, because I just can't visualize. It's not, my brain doesn't see things when I close my eyes. So I've been focusing mostly on the breath and the whatever the banda is with your tongue. Um, and that's been going well for me. It's hard for some reason with the breath, like going from stomach, ribs, chest when I'm sitting down is harder. I can do it when I'm laying down, but for some reason, like it's difficult. So it's been good to focus on that. But yeah, I'm doing good, just trying to rest and recover.
Well, I'm sorry you're sick. I hope you feel better soon. I your thing makes me just want to clarify too what I was saying about the red line because I didn't quite explain it well. Um, if you were to, we don't, there has to be a little bit of faith with the red line. So it's kind of one of those things where I can't see that my dog is behind me. I can't see my dog right now, but I know my dog is there.
Mhm.
If you can't actually visualize the red line, then you will employ that same kind of, I know it's there kind of feeling to it. Does that kind of help? Because not everyone's gonna, we all have different, our brains are different. And so that can be a struggle, but just have also just employ a little bit of faith that it is there and it's happening and you're seeing it, even if it's kind of like right now, I can't see, actually I can see my dog on the couch. I don't know if you see this little right here. But now I can't, but I know she's there. So, okay, well, thank you. And I hope you feel better soon. All right, Maria, hi. And then we'll get Nathaniel last but not least.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I have a lot of catching up to do. It's been a really busy month, but I have been pretty consistent with the practice. I've been doing it a couple of times a week after my workouts, and a longer practice with breath work, meditation, and yoga on the weekends. And I definitely noticed the difference with that. So I'm just slowly working myself up to not overwhelm my mind or my body with trying to do it like every single day. For now, just kind of building it up.
Wonderful. Yeah, and again, it's that thing when you notice how you feel when you don't do it, you start to, we want to, the brain doesn't want to let go of what it likes and has. So when we're going, oh, but I like to sit on the couch in the evening and watch, what's that new one everyone's watching, 1923 or something? I don't know. You know, that's a yum. If we can turn that into the thing that instead, if we're like, oh, my sadhana is a yum, and when I let it go, I feel yucky, that is just what you're doing right there is important. And that is the work also.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to the community practice again, because for me, of course, that's just a lot easier.
It is, and it's fantastic. And that's I think to support us and sustain us. And I'll just add too, for all of you, it's a way to keep inspired, but also find ways to stay inspired. We have to have faith that this is going to do something good for us if we're ever going to make it a practice. So find ways to develop that faith and to stay inspired, whether it's through reading, whether it's talking to each other, whether it's developing that smriti, that memory of how good I feel when I do it. These are things to just keep doing for yourself too. All right. Thank you, Maria.
Thank
and Nathaniel.
Good morning.
But not least, hi.
Hi. So my practice has been going okay. I also have some catching up to do. No real good excuse, but I just kind of been spending my time dedicating it to other things that I wanted to attend to, or spending time with my sister before she moves away. So that was important to me, but that's pretty much mostly settled. So I can start digging more into this yoga stuff and the sadhana. I would say a little victory for me is that I feel a lot better with the mantra or the chant, because I felt so lost with that initially in the class. But I think I got it to like, it's like Shriyam Bakam, I think. Yajamahe Sunganim Urva Rukamiva Bantanan.
Sugandham Pushti. You forgot.
Pushti? Oh, I said it incorrectly. How was the other stuff?
You just gotta throw that in because you got the next part. So just throw in that. I think you just left out the Pushti.
Pushti. Okay.
Vardhanam. Yeah.
And then after that is Bantanan Mrityor. And then Makshiya and Mamrita.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So mostly correct, I guess.
But that's fantastic. I mean, it's that is a hard chant, I think, too, because it gets so fast toward the end and everything else. So.
Okay. What was that part I was missing though? Pushti?
Where was it?
Sungandim?
Oh, Sugandham Pushti.
Sugandham Pushti.
Vardhanam. Yeah.
Okay. Sugandham.
Just I think did I hear him right? Was it just he left out that little bit right there? Just the
just the Sugadam Pushti. Vardhanam is all he missed. But yeah, he got it.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I would say like I'm glad I at least got that down for the most part, it seems, but just got to work on it still. And I guess concerns would be um the Nauli Kriya. I can at least do like the vacuum thing, but I can't really get like the belly flop thing going on. And if I maybe I misunderstood, but you're supposed to be holding your breath during that whole thing, right? I guess it's hard for me to even get through it without feeling like I'm going to asphyxiate. So
Then don't. And here's the thing too. If what you're already doing is pushing you to that point, right? We have comfort zone, stretch zone, panic zone. So in order to get the Naoli Kriya, realize you're doing Naoli Kriya. There's nothing to get. There's no next stage to get until your body and your mind and everything are ready. So if you're in that stretch zone, you don't need to go into your panic zone to get the next part. Just go into lengthen your hold a little, see if you can get a little more relaxed while you're doing the vacuum and holding the breath. See if you can find a little more comfort and relaxation in that, and then start to experiment with the pumping. Does
okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
It's so hard because with all of this, we learn all these parts that eventually may or may not come together, but it really doesn't matter if it does come together. Like what matters is, are you fully aware and present in what you're doing and doing it with a certain amount of ease and effort? And that's it. That's what's really mattering. So it sounds to me like for now you're good to just work on the vacuum and getting a little, because that breath hold can be a little anxiety inducing too, I think. So just work on, can you be calm while you do it even, and not feel like you're going to turn blue and fall over or asphyxiate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, great.
Oh, I just had a quick question though.
Please, yeah.
So since we're all sharing our Bhagavad Gita books, mine's blurred out, but
You have the Western walkthrough.
yeah, this was being sold at the studio. So I just wanted to see if this was even like one that's applicable or
It can be. Here's what I'd say. This is the one we're going to be talking about. That is an excellent one to co-read with this one. That is a fantastic one.
okay.
I love the Western Walkthrough by Jack Hawley. I think it's in your resource list even as a possibility, but this is the one that's required for everyone to be doing.
Okay.
But I love that one so much. It just is, it's a Western walkthrough. And I know we're going over time. Reba had to go. If anyone else does, please hop out. And just know that I'm so glad I got to see you. Thank you all. But I'll just wrap this up. It's just a lot easier if we all read the same one for discussion. But if you want to supplement it with another one, look at that resource list, walkthrough for Westerners or whatever it's called. It's Jack Hawley. It's so great. And I really do think it helps us with our Western minds wrap our heads around it a little more. He's very true to it. Sometimes Western takes on things can just turn things into, it can take it away from the original intentions and turn it into just kind of this Western spirituality. I don't want to say mumbo jumbo because it is a belief system and I think it's not invalid, but it's not true to the original form. That one is. That one takes Western terms, but I think, at least when I read it, I felt like it was very, there wasn't appropriation happening, turning it into something it's not. So, yes, your cat is so cute. All right. Anything else before we head out for the day? All right. Well, thank you everyone for your presence, for your attention that you lend to each other too. It's just nice to all be here together. I hope it gives you a good sense of kind of where to go and what to do in the next couple weeks. If you need anything, let me know. I'm going to check your note, Anna, in the parking lot. But if you put anything in there, if it'll let you tag us, for a while it wasn't, but if it'll let you, please do tag us. And if we don't see it, just follow up, send us a note or an email so that we don't neglect that.
I do
Okay,
have a quick
thanks.
question.
Yeah, Maria.
Yeah, so I used to have a really easy time holding my breath at the end of the exhalation, and maybe it's, switching to a higher altitude. I'm having a really hard time doing it. I can only hold for maybe like 2 to 3 seconds. Do you have any suggestions for that?
How long have you been here? And by the way, everyone else, feel free if you want to hop out, do or stay. Um, how long have you been here now again?
Since August.
Okay, you're still adjusting to
Ah,
the altitude.
okay.
It can take up to a year,
Oh,
even more. It can take a long time. You can feel adjusted,
okay.
but then things
Yeah,
like that'll show you, oh, I'm not actually adjusted.
got it.
The other thing I'd
Good to
say,
know.
um, I go through times, and I think it's not uncommon to find the
Mhm,
exhalation to be hard because what does our
mhm.
whole, the inhalation is easier to hold
Yeah.
because our body goes, oh, I have breath, I have oxygen, I feel
Uh-huh.
full. And our body, we go into that klesha in the sutras of abhinivesha, we go into fear of death
Mm,
when
okay.
we are holding the exhalation. So be gentle with it.
Okay.
Recognize it's your body going, oh dear God, no, breathe, we can't die. Which Nathaniel is probably part of that, right? Like you don't want to feel that in your Naoli Kriya. Your body's starting to go into that with either one, the inhale or the exhale. But I think it's
Mhm.
especially it's strong in the in on that holding it on the exhalation. And
Okay.
so sometimes things in our life can make that even more exaggerated because death is a change. So if we've been through a major change, like a move,
Mhm.
or if we've gone through a death recently, a loss, a big change, I've noticed in my own life that that retention right there is even
Mhm.
harder because your body
Oh,
on a cellular level is going, oh, don't change, don't die. So
got it.
be gentle with it is what I would say.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just let it be what it's going to be. Don't force it.
Okay, so if it's 3 seconds, it's 3 seconds for now.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring this up. Just yesterday in mine,
Yeah.
I don't even think I had a second and a half hold on it. Like I just
Okay.
it was not
Um, good
and
to know.
variable too. Like you'll build up to
Mhm.
longer, but then you'll have days where you're like,
Mhm.
what's going on?
Okay. Okay.
And
And I just thought of another question.
sure.
Sorry.
And I'm happy to stay. And if yeah, and I just am no one's required to at this point.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye.
So, I'm reading Yoga Sutras for the second time now, and I've had, I think, like 9 or 8 years in between, and I'm still having a very hard time comprehending the information and understanding it.
Mhm. Yes,
So that's just normal.
100%.
Okay.
It's so complex. And so
Okay.
remember what we did, those first 16 sutras, it's
Mhm.
everything. It's the whole philosophy. It is like
Okay.
literally Patanjali's just like, here's the deep end. I'm not
Mhm.
throwing you in, I'm putting you in a contraption and dunking you and holding you underwater, is what he
Okay.
does with those first 16 sutras. So now,
Okay.
and as we start to discuss, it's going to start to make more sense. And I will say
Mhm.
this too, as I'm rereading them right now, and I don't know how many times I've studied them in classes or read them at this point, and I'm
Mhm.
still just having moments of like absolute, oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Okay.
Just it's such Indian philosophy is always just so there's so much minutia.
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
category goes into this category, goes into this, and it is just minutia, 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 and it can be absolutely like overwhelming. And
Mhm.
just know that that's okay. Like
Okay.
my second read, I promise you, you're probably getting more than I did. It's
Mhm.
just it's very it's just hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. The practices too, as you do the practices, this is another thing I found because as you start to do the practices more, they start to add to your understanding of the philosophy. And then the
Mhm.
philosophy adds to your belief in your practice. So you
Mhm.
get this really beautiful loop going.
Mhm.
And so just know this too, as you start to practice, you'll have moments in practice where you go, oh, that's what Patanjali meant by this, or, oh, that's why, like I had one 2 days ago where I
Mhm.
so completely understood energetically
Mhm.
the importance of breath retention. Like it just was like I was having
Yeah.
an out of body thing watching myself do it and going, oh, like I
That is
actually
so cool.
get it right now. Like not here, but like I'm
Yeah.
getting it. And so take those little moments to give you faith and know that
Mhm.
you'll get more and more and more of those too.
Okay.
With those moments of faith, which by faith I
Mhm.
don't mean blind faith, I mean
Mhm.
deep understanding gives us faith, then we also
Mhm.
it'll back up the philosophy.
Got it. So if I'm not, comprehending the information that I'm reading, would you suggest that I just continue on reading versus like stopping and really trying to understand? Because I feel like sometimes it just takes me such a long time to read a page that I end up giving up. I'm like, should I just like kind of like read and just let it sink somewhere at least?
Find what works for you. What I would
Okay.
say right now is read, write down your questions,
Okay.
and then bring them up when we have discussion. I
Got it.
also really think the discussion is so key. The sutras,
Mhm.
even a nice commentary that Carrera has, it's only
Mhm.
going to give you so much. We really need to talk and be involved in discussion to really get that to open up. So write
Got
those
it.
notes down. We may not get to every question every time, but a lot of times too, as you're listening, if you have those questions in your mind, you go, oh, through the discussion, that's where that got answered. But if you've written the
Mhm.
question down, it'll help seal in that understanding. Whereas if you
Makes sense.
don't remember the question, you won't remember to pay attention to the answer and you won't
Uh-huh.
get that learning. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yes. Yes.
But
Thank
so
you.
I would say just read through and write your questions down.
Okay.
If it's then what you could do is then read through again after,
Mhm.
like
Makes
another
sense.
to see. But yeah,
Okay.
that would be my
Awesome. Thank
technique.
you.
But there's lots of right ways to do it. So experiment and see.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jacob, bye. Bye, everyone. We'll see you.
Bye.
Are we all good?
Bye.
Questions?
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.